When people reach retirement age, they often look back at the life they spent running. Running for work, running for family, running for things they thought were important. Then one day their feet are tired, their heart is weary, and they want only one thing: to live their final years in true peace. Many seniors tell me they don't need fancy houses or expensive cars. They just need a small garden corner to plant some herbs, a morning with birdsong instead of traffic, an afternoon sitting on the porch watching the sunset. But for me, Eleanor Davis, at 75, the dream of peace is no longer about a garden. The dream of peace is now a place for the soul to rest after a lifetime of striving, a place where I will never, not once, have to bow my head and accept pity. I'm not moving to the countryside to run away from life. I'm checking into this assisted living facility to reclaim myself a way to live slow, live true, and live without haste. If you also share this dream of self-determination, if you understand the fear of becoming a burden, and this story is for you, please help me with a like and a video share to get the seeds of Serenity to 1,000 subscribers soon. Every subscription is a brick, laying the foundation for more healing stories like this one. For the last 6 months, I lived in my son's house like a temporary stranger without a name, without a voice, existing only by minimizing myself as much as possible. I woke up before the kitchen lights came on, cooked a portion of food as small as a patient's so no one would notice. I did my laundry separately, ate separately, cleaned up separately. I tried to make myself as light as dust, so that even if I crossed their lives, I wouldn't make a sound. But some wounds don't need words. They only need one deep sigh, like that day. I dropped a thin porcelain bowl, and it shattered with a sound like metal scraping against my soul. My daughter-in-law, Sarah, didn't look up or speak. She just let out a small HMPH, a tired sound, as if my existence itself was the real breakage, not the bowl. At that moment, I understood. I wasn't just staying with them. I was eroding my own dignity. When I picked up my suitcase, David gripped the handle tightly, his eyes red. "Are you punishing me, Mom? Tell me what I did wrong? ... Just come home." I promised Dad that I would. I looked at him for a long time. Our gazes met like two unconscious knives cutting into each other. "I'm not angry," I said slowly, each word dropping like a stone. "I just refuse to live bowing my head. I'm leaving to save the part of me that's left." David released the handle. My suitcase hit the floor with a cold, dry sound. He lowered his head like a child who had just dropped his own belief in himself. It hurt me too. But some pain must be allowed, like pulling a rotten tooth. I got into the car. The door closed behind me like a period at the end of a sentence. I was leaving the house I had spent my entire life building. I was trading family warmth for control over my life, my finances, and the most precious thing for a senior in America: self-determination. At this age, people don't fear loneliness. They only fear losing their freedom. The facility was named Starlight, but when I walked in, it felt like an old stage where every senior was acting out a tragedy with tired eyes. Fluorescent lights gave off a sickly yellow hospital glow. The smell of disinfectant mixed with the scent of old skin. An old woman cried quietly on a sofa. 2 nurses were arguing. From a far room, old jazz music drifted out of sync with the squeaking of a wheelchair. It was all a chorus of attrition. I pulled my suitcase through the lobby. Not sad, not scared, just feeling like I was entering a new battlefield. I saw those who had given up, those who let others decide their meal times, their sleep schedules, their very lives. I hadn't come here to be like them. Came to reclaim what had been eroded in silence. My sovereignty. When David tried to talk about the exercise programs, I cut him off immediately. I will choose for myself. You don't need to arrange things. He tried to hug me one last time. I subtly avoided it, just squeezing his hand gently a small moment, but enough for him to understand it was a goodbye, not a moment of weakness. Don't call me too often. I want to live, not be monitored. David lowered his head. Something inside him collapsed, and I, only when the automatic door closed behind him, allowed myself a small shiver. Not out of fear, but from knowing I had just severed a piece of myself so he could live on. Room 1-4. Light, clean, but as blank as a white sheet of paper. I put the suitcase down. The sound was heavy, like the definitive end of a chapter. Inside the suitcase was a new outfit Sarah had bought me. It still had the tag. I ripped it off and tossed it straight into the trash. A small action, but it sounded like I was cutting the thread tying me to forced gratitude. I will take care of myself, I told myself. From here on, everything in this room must be what I choose. I looked out the window. A group of seniors were playing chess under the awning, laughing loudly, arguing like children. Life was still out there. I just had to find a way to step into it on my own terms, without bowing, without begging. I took out a family photo, looked at it for a second, then turned it face down. I wasn't ready to look at the faces that made me soft. I opened my leather notebook. I drew up a life plan just as I had when I was young. Yoga must maintain strength. Book club must maintain intellect. Financial activities critical. Let no one decide for me. I don't need pity. I need the map of my life back. I chose to eat alone with a cup of yogurt. I needed to remind myself, independence is not an action, it's a habit. An old woman named Martha sat down next to me, her voice kind but sad. Are you new here? Did your grandchildren bring you in? I brought myself in. She looked at me longer than was polite, as if trying to understand a type of person she no longer had the strength to be. Night fell, the rolling of a wheelchair, the steady breathing of people, slowing down day by day. The space was so silent I could hear my own heart, both resolute and tired. I opened my phone and recorded a voice note. David, send me the tenant rights documents regarding long-term care facilities. I want to personally review this facility's contract. I sent it, not out of dependence, but to command. I turned off the light. Finally, this darkness didn't make me feel lost. It felt like a thick, cold, yet protective coat. I whispered softly, as if speaking to some weak woman who used to live inside me. Tomorrow I will live, not just exist. Morning.
Ow.
I was the first person up on the hallway. I put on the athletic where I had bought myself, not the loose pajamas provided by the facility. I walked with purpose, not hesitancy. I didn't need to wait for a nurse to invite me. I went straight to the common room. The yoga class started at 8 a.m. I arrived at 7:30 a.m. I sat in the empty room and meditated. I needed this absolute silence to prepare for the day's fight. When the yoga class started, I saw Martha. She looked at me with hidden admiration. Ellie, you're here so early. Must control your time, Martha. Don't let it run away from you, I replied, and I saw a glimmer of light in her eyes. During the session, there was a small incident. An old gentleman dropped his mat, making a loud noise. Everyone turned to look, some frowning. He lowered his head in embarrassment. I immediately walked over without saying a word. I picked up the mat, straightened it out for him, and returned to my place. My action wasn't kindness. It was a declaration. No one here will be treated like a useless object. Afterward, I attended the book discussion group. The topic was a detective novel. People were debating listlessly, just trying to fill the time. I spoke up, my voice carrying the sharpness of someone who hadn't spoken properly in months. The protagonist quits his job because he no longer feels his worth. That's not retirement. It's resignation. And that's what most of us here are doing. We allow society to think we have outlived our value. The group fell silent. They looked at me, no longer with vacant stares. I had created a small, necessary conflict. That afternoon, David called back. Mom, I sent you the legal documents, but if you need anything, I can talk directly to the management. No, I replied firmly. This is my contract. I will read and understand it myself. If something is wrong, I will be the one to challenge them, not you. I hung up. A strange calm filled my heart. I sat down at the small desk, opened my laptop, and accessed the PDF file David sent. Even if I didn't memorize every complex clause, the act of self-study, of controlling the information, it helped me regain respect. I lost my house and my old routines. But in return, I was learning to survive in the strongest possible way. I looked out the window. The sunset was casting a glow over starlight-assisted living. I was no longer an invisible ghost, so I was the old soldier, fighting for my freedom within these 4 new walls. Toil will not, never, be a burden.